What's going on YouTube? This is Sam from TeamSamuraiX1 here, and today guys, I'm coming at you with a top 16 deck profile in YCS Atlanta today. What deck were you playing, man?
I was playing Pendulum Ftk.
Okay, FTK, and I saw you playing this at top tables, and it's fantastic. What are your thoughts about this deck?
It's easily the most unfair deck in the room. It's just probably the most unfair Yu-Gi-Oh deck I've ever seen, right? Because going first, if you can, the normal Pendulum Magician deck can make like 2 or 3 negations going first, uninterrupted. But then we realized that if you can make 2 or 3 negates uninterrupted, you can actually just win the game instead.
Oh.
So there's no reason to risk getting Lava Golem, Kaiju to evenly matched, baited out, and then Wavering Eyes. There's just no reason to do those things when just a couple cards you can change made your deck just actually win the game instead of hoping that they didn't have a Sphere Mode, Lava Golem, Kaiju.
Question, how consistent is this deck?
I FTK'd my opponent at least once in every single round the entire tournament all the way through up till top 16. I did it game 1. There were probably like 3 or 4 rounds where I just won the die roll and did it game 1, game 3. I did it in top 32.
One question. Sorry, another question. In top 32, how easy was your matchup?
Oh, it was just free. Yeah.
Oh,
as soon as you realize that they don't have a hand trap, as soon as your opponent stops cutting your deck, they usually don't know what's going on at that point, right? And then as soon as you know that they stopped cutting your deck and they're like, oh, you're going back in, whatever. Right. You're just like, game.
And if they somehow interrupt your combos and everything, you still have regular magician stuff.
Yeah, you're playing a real deck. It's not like Gem Knight FTK where you have to try and FTK them and then go second playing Gem Knight cards. You go second. And we also played cards that made our FTK combo pieces even better going second than I think any hand trap would have been.
All right, awesome, man. So without further ado, man, I'm excited. And this is your teammates, of course?
Yeah, this is
Shout outs to you guys as well. Yep. And let's start with the deck profile.
All right, so first I played the regular Magician lineup, 3 Purple Poison, 3 Black Fang, and 3 Harmonizing.
Okay.
This is easily the best one because all you need to do is have a way to get to instant fusion and pendulum summon 4 dark pendulum monsters.
That's it.
And we don't play any non-dark pendulum monsters. We didn't play Wisdom Eye, Luster, or any of those because they're just not dark pendulum monsters.
Level 6 Oath, yeah, we didn't play Oath.
Yeah, we didn't play Oath because they just create awkward hands where we could make negates but not just win the game instead.
Right.
And we didn't find them needed because Wisdom Eye, the best card, the reason you played Wisdom Eye was to get double eyers because that card's broken, but it's banned now.
Right.
So we really just didn't see a reason to play him. So yeah, standard Magician lineup. This card was particularly insane for instant fusion. I'll explain why.
Oh man, I'm excited to see this, man.
And then obviously standard 3 Astrograph, 3 Chronograph, and then the two brick guys.
2 brick guys.
This card's if Quick Fix had 2,500 attack, it's basically what it is.
Yes.
It's insane. And this card is actually, it's good for making Electrum before you Pendulum Summon, obviously, which is essential to the combo. Essential to any normal Magician deck combo, but also essential to ours. But it also is the card that you wanted to use in your scale if you use Pendulum Call. And it made searching Instant Fusion a lot easier to have this as your scale. Because we played multiple copies of Pendulum Call and Duelist Alliance, so drawing this card was just made the combo extra easy to do and easier to play around hand traps and do it.
Awesome.
Guys. And then the best cards in the deck, 3 Dark Worm. This card's insane. And to go with our 3 Dark Worm, search targets were 2 Gate Zeros and the 13 scale.
Okay, so this is a new one. So what does this card do?
Yeah, so this card basically it says when you control a monster, you can't Pendulum Summon you can't Pendulum Summon monsters if you control a monster. But we were just never leaving it in the scale anyway, so it didn't really matter. Dark Worm, you wanted to send off Foolish or Shrine, or it's like Monkey Board in scale, it's a 1-card scale. Right. So you can scale it and then just use its effect when you control no monsters to put the 0 in the other scale.
Yes.
So it's good to draw, it's good to send off Dragon Shrine or Foolish, and it's insane with Pendulum Call. If you open Pendulum Call Dark Worm,
yes,
you're almost just certainly winning the game.
Awesome.
And the 0 scale, what it does is it has an effect a lot of people don't even know. When you have the 13 in your other scale zone, you can blow them both up to search any fusion card.
Oh, so that's how you get your
so what you do is you get access to, you almost always have access to Dark Worm, or even if you hard draw this, you can send Dark Worm off Electrum and then search this when you summon it.
Yeah.
So basically all you want to do is get access to Dark Worm, and that'll give you access to this, and then you just want to use this to put it in your scale zone to blow this up and search instant fusion.
Awesome.
And so this, we didn't even read this till like last week, and this is what made the deck viable. This card's monster effect is insane.
Okay.
So what you do is, if you go Dark Worm, summon out this, or search out this, and then you send this to the extra deck off of Electrum.
Yeah.
And then once this is in your extra deck, you can Pendulum summon it out, and its monster effect is you can destroy one other face-up card you control and itself to special summon a Dragon Pendulum monster from your extra deck.
Wow.
And then its second effect is when it's destroyed in the monster zone, it can then place itself in the Pendulum zone.
Wow, so it's a free 13 scale.
So yeah, you send it off to the extra deck with Electrum, Pendulum summon it back out, leave Dark Worm in the extra deck, use its effect, blow itself into your high scale up, right? And then you special out the Dark Worm in place of it, and then its second effect triggers to put it in place of where your high scale was.
Wow.
And then this will always be your low scale, so then you blow them up to search instant fusion, and as long as you have 4 Dark Pendulum monsters, then you just win the game.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, and even hard drawing this, it was great because like your opponent wouldn't know what you were attempting to do.
Yeah.
Sending this off Electrum, they immediately just start getting like skeptical, like what is this guy doing?
Right.
But hard drawing it, they just have no idea what's
Right.
going on. And then 3 instant fusion. If you draw this card, you almost certainly just win the game.
Wow.
It's insane going first, insane going second. As long as you have just a hand of regular Pendulum Magicians in this card, you always. I don't think I ever drew this card and lost the game once. Going first or like second as well. And then we had 2 targets for you in the extra edition. And then because we were trying to draw instant fusion, we played 3 Desires and 2 Allure. Desires is insane. Like you just almost never banish what you need.
Yes.
If you hard draw instant fusion, then you can just rip Desires and not care about losing the 13 scale.
Yes.
But you can almost always get your 13 scale in the extra deck if you didn't draw instant fusion and then Desires afterwards.
Okay.
To get your hand full of Dark Pendulum monsters to do the combo.
Okay, awesome.
And then going second, just playing with 7 cards is kind of unfair. And then Allure was really good. The worst hands though, like Allure, it's not good with itself because it's not a dark monster.
Yes.
So you didn't want to like draw Allure in multiples, but we still played 2 because we were just digging for instant fusion, Dragon Shrine, Foolish Desires, Dark Worm, any of those cards.
Starter cards.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We just wanted as many starter cards as possible that got us to just see more cards because like Allure lets you see your hand, like see more cards and then pick out the ones that can do the combo.
Right.
And so that was what was really important. We played Foolish and 2 Dragon Shrine. If you draw this card or this card, you almost certainly win the game as well. But drawing multiples is just awful, so we didn't want to play anymore. This is probably the best starter card in the deck, senior opening hand, to send Dark Worm.
Yes.
And we didn't play really another target for it. So it was kind of dead multiples, but played 2 Duelist Alliance, 2 Pendulum Call.
Oh, so this one that gets your spellcasters your hand.
Yeah. So this is what you use to load your hand with Dark Spellcasters to then summon out. The only downside to Pendulum Call is that you can't use the 13 scale effect after you Pendulum Call to destroy a Magician to do the swap where you summon out Dark Worm and put it in the scale. That's why a lot of the time Chronograph would be really clutch, or you would be able to then off Duelist Alliance if you had that problem you could search Pendulum Paradox. Was the other Duelist Alliance target we played. This was really good in place when you drew Duelist Alliance and you couldn't Pendulum Call because you didn't have access to a sorcerer to use as the scale. You could search this instead. And then once you make Electrum, you can dump whatever you want to the extra deck. And this adds 2 Pendulum monsters with the same scale and different names back to your hand. So then it would let us reload our hand with cards we could use to do the combo. And it was definitely, we tried all sorts of things. We tried Luster, and Luster's not a Dark Pendulum, so it's awkward. The Trap card, we just weren't trying to play Trap cards because we were just going to win on turn 1 anyway. So this was like the best other Duelist Alliance target because we wanted to play as many Pendulum Calls as we could,
Right.
but be able to get something else in case we were going to have an awkward hand that couldn't deal with it.
Right.
Drawing 2 pendulum calls.
Yeah,
Yes,
drawing
not
2
good.
Pendulum Calls just not good.
All right, awesome.
And the last card we played is Monster Reborn. This is mainly just to play, like, even though it's a one of, if we drew it and they like ogred our Electrum, we'd still be able to just Monster Reborn it back and do the combo.
Okay.
And it's just a Saki card in general. I like top decked it and took a guy's boar load out of his graveyard and like stole his Dante for game 1 round.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean,
Combos with Foolish.
it shouldn't have been unbanned. So yeah, combos with Foolish when you draw Shrine and Foolish. The extra deck. Played 2 Electrum.
Yep.
Every once in a while I missed the 3rd, like when I would go 2nd, but when I would go 1st, I usually would just
That's
win the
definitely
game.
a boar load.
That's a boar load. Shiny cards. 2 Electrum.
Yep.
Sometimes I missed the 3rd, but if you went 1st, you didn't really miss it. If you went 2nd and got into a grind game, it might come up. But I don't really think we had the space. There might have been space with a couple cards. We'll talk about them. Then we played the Zephyra Link monster. This card is just basically a better deco talker. And it's also, it helps the combo out a lot because it has 3 zones pointing down. And when you do the combo, you special out this off Instant Fusion, this Lyrilisk card, and then you link with your Electrum and the Lyrilisk to make this, to then give yourself more zones to Pendulum Summon Dark Monsters to do the FTK.
Right.
So this card was really good. Its second effect, where when something's destroyed that it points to, it was summoned from the extra deck, you get to add a monster from your grave back to hand. Didn't really come up all that often, but a couple times, like in the last round, he ogred this card. I was able to put it back. You can put back extra deck cards. You can put back an Electrum if you need to. So it's kind of useful. And Borload, because it was our non-targeting removal. We didn't play Ignister, so our only out to like opposing Borloads and things like that was like our own Borload.
Right.
So it's a good card. And the last link we played was Link Rebo for our. We played 2 level 1 instant fusion targets. So we would Link Rebo, different situations. Sometimes you would need to Link Rebo under Electrum because this card is unaffected by card effects.
Right.
So you'd be able to pop this with Electrum to reload your hand. And then the most unfair card of the deck is Lyrilisk Fusion. I don't know what it's called. But you summon this off Instant Fusion, and its effect is that it burns for 500
For each level.
for 500 times its level. And it also gains 500 attack times its level and is unaffected by card effects.
Wow.
So you would Instant Fusion this out, and then once you Instant Fusion this out, and you could either link for the Zephyra or just leave it on the field, you would summon Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom, which it's just contact fusion for with 2 dark Pendulum monsters. You can just contact fuse for it, and then use its effect. Its effect is it can copy any monster in your opponent's graveyard
Or your graveyard.
on their field or in your graveyard on your
So
field.
you copy this.
So you copy this, and because it's levels 8, it does 4,000 burn damage
Each.
and has 6,800 attack. So the combo is
And it's unaffected by
you
card.
Instant Fusion
And
out for this, link it away, summon 2 of these with your Dark Pendulum monsters, and then just burn them for game. Or going 2nd, you can just summon 1, burn for 4,000, and then swing for 68, and it does piercing damage from its own effect, and is unaffected by card effects.
That's so gross. That's so gross.
So
Okay.
2 of those, this was easily just the most insane. This is the most unfair thing I've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
And our other Instant Fusion target was Thousand Eyes. This is really, really good going 2nd, like I talked about with Black Fang. Because you can go.
Oh, Black Fang, bring this back.
Yeah, it brings it back. So we played 3 Black Fang because when we went 2nd and had Instant Fusion, we could just Instant Fusion this out, steal something, then scale Black Fang, have one of their monsters attacks. Then when it gets destroyed, you can bring this back after you summon Link Rebo with it. Just
Dirty.
steal another thing. So you can just like take multiple things and
And
clear
you
the
make
whole
Starving
board.
Venom, steal another thing,
Yeah,
and
and
you
then
just
make
take all their
then you can use
monsters.
Starving Venom to copy its effect, steal another thing. Like it's wild.
Oh, that's dirty, man.
So that's why we maxed out on this card too. It made the FTK combo pieces.
But you still
that
play the deck.
We played
Yeah.
instead of hand traps.
Yes.
It made it even almost more viable than hand traps going 2nd because like people just didn't understand how to play around it. They didn't understand that you wanted to negate the Instant Fusion to never let this get on the board. Because if you let this get on the board and then you negate it, it's then in your graveyard to float back with Black Fang. But people just like didn't figure that out.
Right.
So we were just always floating it back, stealing their stuff. So it was really good. And the rest of my extra deck was the last fusion was the Odd Eyes Vortex. I made this once all tournament
Yep.
because if I could make this, I could just win the game anyway.
Yep.
There was only one time when I was able to make this that I wasn't able to get access to Dark Worm or Instant Fusion.
Nice.
So it's kind of necessary for those games where you can't just FTK them. But I literally made this once in 13 rounds.
Crazy, man.
And then for the Odd Eyes Vortex, we played the Absolute Dragon. And then the last 2 XYZs we played were Baguska, Tornado Dragon. I never summoned this once all tournament. never need it. That's maybe what I would cut for like the second Electrum. I could like, you know, in theory there are situations where you would need it if you got hand trapped, but people just weren't playing as many hand traps this format. You know what I mean? They thought they were safe, and that's why this deck just thrived. But in theory, this is good for like being able to pass on if you get hand trapped. But I never made it. Tornado Dragon, I did make a couple times. It was really good. I outed Floodgates with it a couple times. So
Being
I
a
would
quick
keep this
effect
card.
is
Yeah,
really insane.
being
That's
a
why
quick
we
effect
played it
is
over
insane.
Ignister.
Awesome.
And then for the two synchros, the Rigeki, Supreme King, Dragon, Clearwing. This card's insane. Definitely the best synchro you can play in a Magician extra deck.
Yep.
Just archetype specific Rigeki is wild. So really good card. And then Omega, I think I summoned this like once the whole tournament. In theory, we wanted this to be like our out to cherries, because if you get cherried and you summon this, you can put back the Electrum in your grave standby phase, and then once you tag it out, on the next turn you're able to make the Supreme King
And then copy Electrum.
and copy Electrum's effect. And now you have this back on board and this on board, and you've copied Electrum's effect to be able to, you know, combo to get cards on the board. So that's usually enough for game anyway, and you didn't need the Pendulum summon zones from the Electrum anyway. Just being able to resolve the effect that's the same as Electrum's was what was important. That actually never came up. I never got cherried once.
Right.
So the only other benefit to this was when we FTK people, we a lot of time didn't know what they were playing. So if your hand was insane enough, this only happened once for me, you'd be able to make this first. If you're able to make like Electrum without normal summoning, you know, and had an extra normal in your hand, you just make this first, banish it, see what they're playing, and then FTK them so you know what to decide. It's, you know, your hand has to just be ridiculous for that, and it only happened once, but it's a good idea.
All right, awesome. So let's go over your side deck real quick. And can you show us the combo?
Yeah.
Please.
So for the side deck, most of it I didn't use. 3 evenly, I just never sided this in once. It was for like Draco, Paleo, those kind of decks. I didn't want it in the mirror because it gets negated.
Right.
3 Ash, my most sided card, because when I didn't know what my opponent was playing after I FTK'd him, I would put this in because it was the safest bet across the board. So it was definitely just like the staple side deck going second card. 3 Wavering Eyes for the mirror going second. Didn't put it in going first because there's just no reason to. We just win the game without having to set a dead card. And 3 Lava Golem.
Right. Yes.
I didn't put these cards in all that often because when I was playing the mirror, I usually FTK'd them. I happened to win those die rolls when I played the mirror. I didn't play as many mirrors as I would have thought. Probably played, maybe 3 or 4. And only like 1 or 2 of them did I lose the die roll. So I didn't really know what they were playing. So these didn't go in very often.
Lava and Waving Eyes. And then what's your last 3?
The last 3 was Twin Twisters, and I also don't think I said it. So
Oh, man, I think just OTK though.
It was-
FTK, like you don't even need your extra deck. Your side deck.
It was pretty much just the Ashes for the only thing, because we didn't decide going first. We just put the deck back to the way it was.
Right, awesome. Okay, so let's go out with the combo. Okay, for those of you who do not know.
So
let's go.
basically,
So what do you need in your hand?
you just need anything like Dragon Shrine. You can have like a Chronograph, for example,
Yeah.
and just like maybe a Harmonizing or a way to get to Harmonizing, or
Okay.
any like handful of Dark Pendulum monsters.
Okay.
So you can just Dragon Shrine, send Dark Worm,
Yep.
special out Dark Worm, use its effect, search the 0 scale, and then once you've done that, you can use like Chronograph's effect to special out the
Time Gazer?
Time Gazer. And then you link them away for Electrum. So, make Electrum. And then the way you would search this fusion is you would then send the 13 scale, the Gate Infinity, off to the extra deck.
Okay.
And then basically what you do is you can scale this. Let's say you have like an Ashgraph in your hand, or anything else.
any
really.
Dark Pendulum
any
monster.
Dark Pendulum monster.
Yeah.
Or you scale one of your other scales.
As long as you can make
Yeah,
scales.
as long as you can make
Scales.
scales. You just need to be able to make scales.
The only reason like the 8s would conflict is like we need to pop the 8 scale. So like if we're under pendulum call, it would have to be chronograph.
Yeah. So like if you had an electrum in your hand, you can just like search another chronograph to pop.
Okay.
But basically you just complete scales. So like let's say you have this scale.
Yep.
You just scale them. You pendulum out the 13 scale.
Wait, is this in your hand or in the extra?
This is an extra deck. You sent it off Astra or off the metal phone.
And right now you haven't popped anything yet, right?
I haven't popped anything. So then you
don't
just
even need to use
you don't need to. You just pendulum summon out the infinity,
Anytime.
anything else, yeah, and then like harmonizing, its effects, get a magician, and then you can use infinity's effect to pop. Its monster effect pops itself and one face-up card you control to special summon a pendulum dragon from your extra deck. So you leave Darkworm in the extra deck when you pendulum summon this out. And then its second effect is when it's destroying the monster zone, it can put itself in the scale zone. Right? So as long as you have the 0 in the scale zone, this would work. You just pop your other scale and itself to bring Darkworm back out from the extra deck. And then its second effect would trigger when it goes to the extra deck is destroying the monster zone to put itself in the scale zone.
And now since you have 2, you get to search.
And now you have 2, so
You get to draw a free card off
and
the
you get,
electrum.
yeah, you get to draw a free card. You're usually triggering either astrograph or chronograph.
Okay, so at this point you search.
Yeah, you just use this effect to blow them both up. Search instant fusion. And then you contact fuse with 2 dark pendulum monsters to make this guy. And then you want to do it with the 2 ones in the zones. You just have to have one zone open so that you can instant fusion. So then you instant fusion, summon the Lyralist. You can use its effect to burn for 500 to like bait ogre because like it's unaffected by card effects, right?
Yes.
So like,
Okay.
why not?
Why not?
Yeah, yeah. And usually like at first we thought maybe we wouldn't want to use it because we wouldn't want our opponent to like understand what was happening. But every opponent just like immediately picked this up and was just shocked and just started reading it. So that was never gonna happen. Then you link these away for the Zephyra.
And then you make a second Starving Venom.
Yeah. You just make a second Starving Venom.
And that's it.
And you just use their effects to copy the Lyralisk. And then 500 times its level is level 8, so that's 4,000. 4,000, 4,000. And then going second, if you had any way to get to this, like instant fusion, and any 2 dark pendulum monsters, you could just instant fusion for this, make Link Rebo, summon one of these underneath the Link Rebo, use its effect, burn for 4,000, and swing for 6,800 piercing, because its own effect gives it piercing, unaffected by card effects. So you could just swing. I swung over a Dante for game in 1 attack. I swung over for Hope Harbinger for game in 1 attack.
Scary,
just
yeah.
like any huge monster, it doesn't even matter. You just burn for 4,000 and just attack for game.
Wow. All right, man. This deck is absolutely insane, man. Wow. Congratulations on top 16 at YGOPro Atlanta this year. Any shoutouts?
Shout out to my locals, Top Caliber Gaming in Tempe, Arizona.
There you go. There you go. Shout out to you guys. You guys are so awesome.
Shout
man.
out to Noah. It was his idea. The
Damn,
TK
shout out
list.
to you, bro.
His
Yeah, and we
original
perfected
idea.
it.
Shout out to Mitch for helping us build it. Shout out to Tony, Amelia, Vic back home. Shout out to Russell and everybody who loaned us cards, helped us test.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right, this is Sam from TeamSamuraiX signing out. All right, guys. Peace.
I feel like Usain in the cheetah print. Talk fresh game, I don't need a minute. R.I.P. the game, I need a minute. Okay, let's proceed with it. I'm in the house, got the deed with it. These bozos always sneak this and they taking shots. I'ma keep with it like no, this league business.